Thank you. Well, as I said, I'm going to talk about innovation and development in sports architecture. I'll start off with telling you what the Danish Foundation for Culture and Sports Facilities are, very shortly. I can talk about it for days, but we don't have that much time. And then I'll get into a few concrete examples of what it is that we do. Our mission is to develop and consult and financially support construction of sports culture and leisure facilities at sport for all level. We do not support private enterprise. We make grants for about 20 to 25 projects a year. But what's very important is that our funding isn't that big. Our knowledge of what you can put into a sports facility are very big. So it's a combination of yes, we give money, but we also give a lot of knowledge to help develop projects. We perform research in cooperation with universities and specialists, other institutions in sports, in how to rethink and modernize sport for all facilities and also culture and leisure facilities. This instance that you can see, this example is a hall for motoric skill development, also just a gymnastics center. It's a combination of the old gymnastics center that hasn't really changed for 100 years and a complete rethinking of what you put into a center for gymnastics. Here you can move all over every space, every surface up and down, and at the same time you are actually developing your body into a gymnast. And I should just say that this comes from research and working on ideas, so we get knowledge to create this sort of thing. We only make grants to facilities of high architectural and functional value. We are financed through funds from the National Danish Lottery. I believe there's a lot of lotteries around Europe financing sports at grassroots level to a certain extent. I think we're quite a singular organization, this Foundation for Culture and Sports Facilities, that we get money to actually develop beautiful architecture and good functionality in sports facilities. The funds from the lottery are channeled to the foundation from the Danish Department of Culture. We are an independent organization, but we do have a close link to the Department of Culture. Now, in creating innovation and development, I've picked out three challenges that sports facilities in Denmark faces, and I think they're quite common for all of Europe. All sports are still popular, but they need modern facilities. Commercial sports, for example, fitness centers, are appealing to a lot of people and could sort of attract people away from the sports for all facilities, leaving them in risk of a crisis. Speaking in terms of how many people use them. Are they legitimate to support for local communities and municipalities? New sports and more self-organized sports participation are growing in Denmark, as I believe it is in the rest of Europe. This is the before and after image, which is an example of how you can work with taking an old sports facility that isn't doing too well and transforming it into something that on the outside looks a lot more beautiful, a lot more appealing, which we know is important. In Denmark we're surrounded with really great architecture, I believe, and we have become accustomed to having surroundings that are beautiful. If we want to do sports, we want to do sports in beautiful buildings, like we want our libraries to look good, and culture or other cultural institutions to look good. Apart from not looking too good, the old sports halls in Denmark were almost all built in the 60s and 70s. But they're more or less falling apart now. Buildings get old, so they have a need to make things happen, to modernize. As applicants, they can contact us at the foundation and ask, can you help us? And we say, yeah, tell us about building this sports hall. And then, for instance, we put up what's it called, a competition for architects. And we along with the local communities, pick out the ones that look the best, and we put sort of put the frame around creating ideas of what would happen in this particular sports hall. And that's we often get is a bright new look and a lot of daylight, and what's inside is of course very important as well, because these sports halls in Denmark were all built for handball, badminton, indoor football, volleyball, to a certain extent basketball, and that was basically what there was. There was a sports court for these sports, and a roof and walls, and perhaps a meeting room. But you can do a lot more, and there is a craving for a lot more in societies all over, communities all over Denmark, for more things happening if they should use their sports facilities. As I said, activities from commercial sports are appealing to a lot of people, but there's no rule saying that these activities can go on in the old sport hall facilities. This is inside the sports hall we just saw, where there is a fitness center, which we know is something that there are big craving for. Not that many people do the old sports as they used to be. There's still handball, for instance, are losing active members, but they're still a big sport. But there's other sports that are interesting, and you can combine these. You don't have to say this is a sports facility for handball or badminton. If you want to do your fitness, you go somewhere else. In some of these rural areas in Denmark, there are no others. You have to drive 20 or 30 kilometers to find a commercial fitness center. But that doesn't mean you don't want to do the sort of things and activities that they can offer. But you can put them into these sports halls. Talking about new sports emerging and self-organized sports activity, and also as in the popularity of the commercial centers, the flexible hours. Our lives are changing. We're not living the same way we did in the 60s and 70s. As you will know, we have to put together working life and private life and family life. So it's a demand now that you can do sports at all hours, really. And this isn't just for the sector that wants to use the fitness centers. This is also for street sports. The street culture is something that just happens. If you've got a hoop and some asphalt, a tarmac ground, you can play street basket. In Copenhagen, two boys 6 or 7 years ago were completely in love with street basket. And after having played for a whole summer, they discovered you can't play street basket in Denmark in the winter. It rains and it snows and it's cold and it's wet and it's slippery, and street sports is something that only happens from April to October, really. So they got involved with our street sport organization and the municipality of Copenhagen and us in the foundation, and saying, well, what can we do? And our solution was to, along with very talented architects, to find a repair shop for trams and turn it into a facility that could facilitate street sports in the winter. This facility has about 4,000 or 5,000 members. It's not a club. They're not part of a club organization as we have known in Denmark for many years. We do our sports in clubs, or we used to. This is a place you come and you pay a couple of euros, and then you can just you get a ball at the place and you can play street basketball, you can play street soccer, you can do dancing. There's an amazing dance room as well for street dance, and outside there's a parkour facility. So this is a completely new way of looking at sport halls in Denmark, servicing a demand from people who looked at sports participation and sports activity in a new way. Last, we don't use, if a sports hall comes to us and asks advice, we start with saying, take away your tunnel vision goggles. There's more than sports to put in these facilities. For instance, culture and leisure. What you see here on the left is a picture of probably a parent sitting in a library, and her kids are swimming in a swimming pool behind her. She turns around, she can just check that, yes, my kid is all right, he's not drowning, but he's having fun. This was a swim hall that needed modernizing, and at the same time there was an old library close by that wasn't doing too well. So the library was put into the swim hall, or right next to it, but in the same building. And what happened was that the libraries, the lending of books more than doubled, perhaps even tripled, because suddenly all these swimmers were exposed to the library, probably before they didn't even know where it was. But now they saw it, and it's very easy to go there and check out their books and music. The picture on the right, perhaps not that inspiring, but that's a picture of a youth club put into a sports hall. In Denmark, youth clubs and sports activities have sort of been separated. I don't know why, really, but it makes great sense, and it does work to sort of put the youth club into the sports hall, give them a few rooms, some nice facilities, and they can go there and have their own experiences. And then when they want to be sports active, they can just step right outside the door, and it's there, and it's still the body. So staying on the culture and the sports, on the left is a solution we came up with. Still, we always do this with the local people and the municipalities and the architects. We work on these ideas together. We came up with on the left there was a sports hall in an area in Jutland with a very special light. It's close to the sea, so the light was amazing for painters. So they, throughout the last 30 years, painters congregated there in that area. But artists and painters have a tendency to sort of live by themselves, and they exhibit in their own little rooms, houses, in this vastly big rural area. But they did have a wish for a common place to exhibit and to actually work to do their paintings. And for instance, at big works, they needed more space than they had at their own places. So we put this in the sports hall. And what happens is that kids and grown-ups doing sports are immensely exposed to art. There's art everywhere, not just in this room, in this artist house, but everywhere in the sports hall. And it does, if you should visit one day, it does have a quite special feeling to be a part of that. And of course, the artist gets a whole new audience, which is very fulfilling. Actually, the very same is happening in Street Mecca, the facility, the street culture facility I talked about just before. Some of you may have visited for the dinner last night. What you see here is a street basketball player helping out with the graffiti that maybe he actually composed himself. This is the same thing. You're doing your sports in street culture, but in street culture you don't divide sport and graffiti and DJing or rapping. Music and culture and sports is a whole, and that's something that we're looking very much into now. There's this sort of look of sports and culture and leisure time as a whole for creativity in many ways. There's creativity with your body, there's creativity with your mind, and there's even creativity in reading and doing music and so on. The very last thing is, this sounds the most inspiring pictures maybe, but it's to show how we sort of warm our minds around facilities and in the room inside the facilities and challenge the local users and architects to think, which is limited space as there is for a sports facility. You just can't build. There's budgets for these things. Limited space calls for flexible use. What we have here is it's a shooting club. It looks like it's put in the basement. It's not. It's in the ground level, so it's close to the rest of what's going on in the sports hall. They can't have windows, so they're shooting, so they have to be careful with bullets and so on. But a shooting area, a shooting club, is just a rack to lean your pistol or your gun, if they use that indoors, I'm not sure. And then there's a wall, because you have to hit the target. But there's nothing in between, it's just empty space. When you take away the activity of shooting, what you have left is, if you put a nice wall and good lighting, you've got a dance room, or a room for yoga, or other more soft movement sports. So that's one way of our way of thinking, an example you could understand. I'm here for a few hours more if you have any questions also after the session. So you can just